And if you don't think this is pure evil, I just want to quickly read to you exactly what happened about this victim and the description we have of this victim. And I want to get this perfectly correct. So let me read this to you. This is what I was sent earlier. More information on the attack last night in Belfast. The victim has been described by locals as an extremely vulnerable man who has difficulty hearing. He's originally from Scotland and moved to the areas a few years ago. His attacker moved in with another Sudanese man just days ago, and asked the vulnerable man for help before the attack began. They finished by saying there is absolutely no way the victim would have stood a chance against the attacker. So this animal that moved in days ago not only preyed on a vulnerable man, but lured him into a sense of safety by simply asking for help. Manipulated this man into putting his guard down over this falsehood of a sense of hope and help, sorry. And I just want to point out the difference in response. Again, when the Jews in Golders Green suffered an ambulance attack and then an attack by some retarded brown man walking around with a knife, how did the government respond? How did the media respond? I'll tell you how they responded. They responded with more finance for the area. They responded with increased police presence for the area. The police responded with the possibility of forming a specialized branch to protect the community in these areas. They responded by calling it anti-Semitic. They responded by saying they will do anything in their power to look after these communities. They responded by every single leader turning up to these areas. They responded by the king becoming a trustee of a Jewish foundation. They responded by enforcing more laws which will now fast track anything that is hate speech related or hate crime related. When the Muslims have been attacked and their mosques have been attacked, how did the government respond? It blamed the far right. It put forward laws about Islamophobia. It put more money into these areas and gave councils stronger powers over protecting these areas. It made sure that these areas would have more funding and more protection. Every single time a foreign group in our country is attacked, the response of our government is to pander to them and look after them. But every time it's a white person attacked, every time it's a Henry Nowak, every time it's a Lee Rigby, every time it's a Wayne Broadhurst, every time it's a Belfast man, what does the government do? Stay calm. They don't call it anti-white hatred. They don't call it racism. They'll call it Islamophobia or anti-Semitism, but they would never say it was racism against white people. They tell us to stay calm. They tell us to be peaceful. They tell us to, just ignore it. Just brush it off. Oh, don't worry about it, guys. We don't get more funding. We don't get more protection. Where was the protection from the police with the rape gangs? Oh, that's where it was. They were working with the rape gangs. They were covering it up actively. Where was the protection from the police when it was Axel Rudapakana? Oh, there we are. They were arresting the right wing. They were arresting people over social media posts. I forgot. Where is the protection from the police after the attack in Belfast last night? I'll tell you where it is. It's currently lined up with water cannon machines and riot shields ready to beat the shit out of native Englishmen, native Brits, native Irishmen, native Ulsterans. That's where the police are. It's not in protecting our communities. It's never been in protecting our communities because they don't want to protect our communities. And there are people saying, and there's a possibility to this, that What happens tonight, if it does end up badly, which is the fear and the possibility that it could, as the tensions are completely off the charts, maybe the government is letting this happen on purpose. Maybe the fact they're using Palantir to track your faces, maybe the fact they're tracking your phone signal, maybe the fact they are monitoring social media and watching these auditors' live streams, and the auditors have been warned not to attend tonight, otherwise they will have their phones snatched off them. Maybe the reason for this is so they can punish you, so they can implement things like digital ID, so they can implement forced facial recognition cameras everywhere. Maybe so they can implement harsher speech laws, harsher discrimination laws against white people. Maybe that is the reason. Maybe this is just a horrible plan to punish you further, to make you submissive to the doom which awaits us, to the doom that glares you in the face. And I'll say this to every man and woman that is watching these scenes up and down the country. To all the people that may have not been on our side the entire time, to all the people that may have tried to deny that it's a racial issue, to all the people that have tried to deny the reality of the situation, but quite frankly, cannot dismiss it anymore because it's in their face. There is no hatred from us to you. A lot of people have made these mistakes. A lot of people have tried to give these groups the benefit of the doubt. A lot of people have tried to ignore their pattern recognition. A lot of people have tried to move forwards. But I'll give you this. Most people want to live until the age of 95. Everybody imagines living to the age of 95, or in their 90s, or even their 80s, having a family, having a house, living out nicely, being comfortable, having a nice pension, going on holiday, having grandkids, getting married. Everybody has these thoughts. Everybody has these hopes and these dreams. And you may have these hopes and these dreams, but what's to say tomorrow you are not the next victim of one of these attacks? What's to say you do manage to get the perfect marriage and you have a kid? What's to say your kid's not the victim of the next rape gang? Or your grandkid's not the next victim of a random stabbing on a night out, or a migrant rape on a night out? What's to say you're not the next victim of a random migrant attack because some low IQ, low impulse control savage views you as their next target? Then what? Does it really have to get to your door? Does it really have to personally affect you? Do you really need to suffer the consequences of these policies? Does your entire neighborhood have to be replaced before you recognize it's bad? Do you need to live under a foreign government with foreign enclaves and foreign policy dominating our country? Do you need to live under that to realize? Does it really have to get to a boiling point for you to recognize? Do you want to look your kids in the eyes and say, I'm sorry I didn't do anything. I was too naive to realize. I'm sorry that the system we now have wants to kill you because you're white, but I was too naive to realize. I'm sorry that I didn't say anything in my younger days. I'm sorry that I didn't say anything before you were born because I didn't want to be called racist. I'm sorry I allowed our country to be taken over. I didn't want to be a bigot. Is that what you want? Is that what you want to look across the table to? Do you think that's what your ancestors wanted? How many times do I have to remind you about who your ancestors are? How many times do I have to remind you about the pure fury, fire, resilience, and determination that your ancestors went through to birth you, to give you a chance at life? How many times do I have to remind you? How many times do I have to remind you that they went to war for you, that they died in their thousands, their millions for you? They stormed beaches for you. They took axes to the gut for you. They died of diseases and plagues for you. They spent their lives down mines to build a country for you. They gifted you the greatest country on earth. And you want to give that up because you're naive to the problem, because you're scared of the problem? How many more people does it have to go through until you realize these things? How many more deaths? How much more violence? How many more beheadings? And let's make this clear. The only reason the British people are soft is because the legal system attacks us. These savages do not abide by the law. They are not playing on the same rules. There is no equal playing field. They have weapons, they are violent, and they attack. There is no equal playing field. We don't do that. So already you're at a disadvantage. And whilst you're already disadvantaged, you're making up more excuses as why to handicap yourself more. Whilst you're already suffering more, because the system is built against you, you're making up more excuses. It is not in our favour. And the only way it becomes in our favour is through genuine unity and tribalism and communitarianism and nativism. Is an end to this suicide empathy, is an end to the Munchausen syndrome society that we find ourselves festering in. Without any of that, without a serious slap in the face by reality, nothing gets better. You will die. You will die. That is the reality of our situation. I don't need to prove it to you. It proves itself every single time. This is not the future that any of us wanted, but it's the reality that we find ourselves in. This is not the path that anybody took, but it's the way in which we were dragged. I don't need to prove it to you. You can look at places like Africa, in South Africa, where the Boer, the white farmer, is being slaughtered in their thousands for the simple crime of being white. You can look at the BLM riots where they found white people and beat them up for the simple reason that they were white. You can look at the rape gangs where they raped little British girls, teenagers, and told them they deserved it because they were white. I don't need to prove it to you. It proves itself to you. But if you don't want to accept that, if you don't want to view that as the truth, if you want to make excuses for the vermin, if you want to deny remigration as a far-right extreme policy, then you will suffer the consequences of your own actions, and you will be harmed by these savages, by these criminals, by these barbarians. You will suffer exactly what they want you to suffer. And you will have nobody else to blame but yourself. Because frankly, you are acting no better than the traitorous government, the treasonous politicians, the treasonous civil servants, the treasonous judges that work purposely to harm us. You will be no better than them because you would have by proxy joined their side out of a pure denial of your own future. And your kids will hate you. Your fellow Englishmen will hate you. Your fellow Britishmen will hate you. And eventually you'll hate yourself. Because your ignorance will die when your safety dies. And it's rapidly being lost. It is rapidly under jeopardy. You don't have a lot of time left. We don't have a lot of time left. We are dying day in, day out. We are getting more angry day in, day out. We are being replaced day in, day out. We are being banished from our own towns and cities, from our own neighborhoods, and we are being bought out day in, day out. We're being outlawed. We're being imprisoned day in and day out.